Here we go. A 10-inch circle, 1,018 yards. That's sub-MOA with a 308. I've got 9.5 mils of elevation dialed on, and I've dialed in right 0.5 for wind. Let's see if we can connect. Just off that left edge. Impact. Now what if I told you I'm running ammo that supercharges my 308? It's going to give you performance not far off of a 6.5 Creedmoor. Stick around and I'll tell you all about it. Let me guess, you've got a 308 in the fleet that maybe you don't shoot anymore. You've thought about rebarreling it or selling it to get yourself something better at long range. What if I told you, wait just a second, there's a way easier solution. All you have to do is start running some of the new ammo from Black Arc in the NAS3 case. With this, you're going to instantly step up your performance. I'll bet I've got your attention. So let's chat about what this ammo is and what it can do for you. If you're not familiar with NAS3 cases, they're fairly new on the market. They've been out for things like 300 Blackout and 5.56 for a while. But 308 loadings are very new, and Black Arc is one of the first companies to come out with their load. So what a NAS3 case is going to do, it's going to be a lighter weight case. It has thinner walls because it's a stronger composite style material. So lighter weight means you can carry the same amount of ammo for less weight. That's a win. But it also means you can cram more powder into the same case dimensions and get more velocity to the tune of almost 100 feet per second with a 175. So lighter weight on the ammo to carry and more velocity means she's going to perform better at long range. And when you think about something like a 6.5 Creedmoor, that 175 running down range at a higher velocity than a 140, that's going to put more energy on target. So it sounds pretty good, and obviously the question is, how does it actually perform? So that's what we're going to address in this video. What I plan to do in this video is run two of the new Black Arc NAS3 loads. They have one that's a Berger 175 hybrid, and then one is a Barnes 175 LRX, which is an expanding hunting bullet. We're going to run both of those, but we're going to run them up against Winchester M118 LR, just a commercial load, 175 SMK, priced pretty affordably. We all know what M118 LR is. We'll use that as the benchmark. And then I also have a Berger 175 OTM commercial load. So we're going to be able to compare M118 LR to that Berger 175 load to the Black Arc with the same bullet, and then the Black Arc with the hunting bullet. By the end of this video, you're going to have a look at what velocity does, groups at 100 yards. Then I tell you what, recently I've gotten into shooting paper at 1,000 yards. Thank you, Texas Plinking, for that. We're going to put groups on paper at 1,018 yards to give you a look at how each of these perform with regards to drop, wind deflection, and group size. So if you're interested, stick around and let's dive into it. Because this is an ammo test, I wanted to select a rifle that's accurate and easy to shoot. I opted for my Barrett MRAD with my 20-inch Mark 22 308 barrel. This is going to be 1 in 8 twist. And I tell you what, it is an absolute tack driver. So factory Barrett MRAD with a Mark 22 barrel. And then on the end is going to be the Barrett Mark 22 suppressor. It's .338 caliber, so I can run all the way up to .338 Lapua Magnum or down to 308. It actually sounds quite good. It's actually a massive can, but it completes the Mark 22 package. While we're on the topic of suppressors, let me hop in here and shout out Silencer Shop. They're becoming a longtime supporter of my channel for several reasons. Number one, it's because I'm a believer and a longtime customer in their NFA transfer process. It makes it so simple. If you're in the market for NFA items, suppressors or SBRs, make sure you're using Silencer Shop for that transfer. Their online profile, their kiosks in your local gun store, make it very simple to build out your profile, and then as you start acquiring NFA goods, remotely submitting the paperwork to get those approved. Approvals are coming back right now faster than ever. We're looking at maybe 1 to 2 days to a week. That's crazy fast compared to previous. So if you're in the market, there's no better time to buy than right now. But with that, in January, the tax stamp goes to $0. So with Silencer Shop, if you don't want to pay the $200 tax stamp and capitalize on that quick wait time, you can purchase now and wait to submit your paperwork in January at $0. For optics, I wanted something that's going to give me a really nice aiming point. So the Element Theos 6-36 gives me a nice floating center dot that I'll use to shoot my groups. Clear glass and a beautiful reticle for holds. So this is provided by Utah Air Guns. I thank them for their support. Mounted in a Griffin Armament single piece mount with an integrated level here on the side to make sure I'm not canting when I stretch out to distance. You'll be getting a view of what I see at the 1,000-yard line through my Scope Mate camera. So this is going to allow you to see exactly where my holds are as I shoot these groups. That way you know I'm not fibbing when I show you what happens downrange. Let's talk about the ammo that we're going to run in this video. So obviously the point of the video is to supercharge your 308, and we're going to do that with two different loadings from Black Arc. So both of these loadings are going to be in the new NAS3 case, which looks like this. It kind of has a silvery finish to it. You can see it has a kind of a separate web here. It's a very different look than traditional brass. But again, the secret here is thinner walls, more powder, more velocity. So first up, let's talk about their hunting load, which is the Barnes 175 LRX. So Barnes has been a long time supporter of my channel. I love their bullets. This is going to be a long-range expanding bullet designed to go after animals. So if you're in the hunting game, this is going to be what you choose. So this load right here, I expect to run about 2,700 feet per second out of my 20-inch barrel. Now the target load from Black Arc that I'm the most excited about is going to be the 175 Berger OTM hybrid bullet. So if you're familiar with Berger bullets, you know they're very high BC, very slick, and this should be the flattest shooting load that we shoot today. I expect to run about 2,700 feet per second out of my 20-inch barrel. I expect this to be the flattest shooting load, and I tell you what, if you're looking to supercharge your 308, this would be my recommendation. I can't wait to see how it performs. This is going to cost about $50 a box, so it's not cheap. You're going to be paying for the performance, so let's see how it lives up to it. As a baseline, I wanted to run the old tried and true M118 LR, and to do that, I have Winchester's Match. This is going to be their commercial loading of the military load. This is going to be a 7.62 by 51 featuring the 175 SMK bullet. I believe I bought this stuff, it's about $27 or $28 per box. So right at half the cost of the Black Arc, but it's going to be interesting to see how this performs downrange. I expect this to run about 2,600 feet per second out of my 20-inch barrel. And then so that we have a apples to apples brass case load with the same bullet as the Black Arc, I selected Berger's 175 OTM hybrid brass case load. So this is the exact same 175 bullet that you would find in the Black Arc. This is just loaded in Lapua brass cases. I expect this to run about 2,600 feet per second out of my 20-inch barrel. And this is a very premium ammunition and is priced accordingly. I believe this stuff's about $45 to $46 per box of 20, so it's not far off of where the Black Arc is. It'll be interesting to see how this performs downrange. Now with that, how are we going to test it? Well, I have two tests lined up. First will be the 100-yard line. At 100 yards, I'm going to shoot 5-round groups with each ammo type. My plan will be to measure velocity there at the 100-yard line, show you the group size, and show you my zero. And then move out and shoot the exact same ammo at 1,018 yards on cardboard, 10-round groups running the chronograph. What that's going to do is show us drop, windage deflection. I had very similar conditions out here today, as well as group size. So if you like the sounds of it, let's get into it. So before I came out today, I had zeroed the rifle and the bore was fouled. To start, I fired a 5-round group on the lower right dot to check my zero, and then I moved up and fired on the center paper for camera. I started out on the lower right dot, 5 rounds of the M118 LR. You can see those 5 rounds went into a group that measured 0.51 MOA. So this is actually the tightest group out of all the ammo that I fired at 100 yards. Velocity performance at 100, average speed of 26.12, extreme spread of 39.7, and an SD of 15. So that 15 SD is going to be pretty brutal when we stretch out to distance. With that, let's hop over and check out the 10 rounds at 1,018. So downrange at 1,018 yards, I have a 10-inch circle on the left where I'll fire 3 cider rounds. And then I have a massive piece of cardboard where we'll fire 10 rounds as a group. Now I've updated AB Quantum with the velocity of like 2,600 feet per second. And it's calling for 10.8 mils of elevation, which I'm going to dial on to the Theos here. Something like that. We'll go ahead and load up. Now wind's a little bit tricky here. It's kind of coming out of like the 5 to 6 o'clock. So I'm really going to favor, let's just favor right 0.5. Okay. Right 0.8. Right 1 mil. Good call on that one. All right, let me load up my next 3 rounds. For these shots, I'm going to dial right 0.7 dialed on the scope. So I'll just hold center with the crosshair. seem like elevation. Let's come up 1/10 and send a 10-round group with the cardboard. Ooh, that wind flag's pushing. Let's go 1 more 10th right. So that's 8/10 right. And I'm gonna try to fire these rapidly before conditions change. All right, that should be 10 rounds on the cardboard, and the spread on that is massive. Let's go see what the group looks like. Boom, so at 1,018, those 10 rounds went into a group that measured 2.5 MOA, so pretty massive. But given the low cost of that ammunition, I'm not terribly surprised. Velocity performance, if we look at that, we can see why the group was so large. Average speed of 2603, so in line with 100 yards. But those 10 rounds had a spread of 86 feet per second and an SD of 29. Absolutely massive. And as you can see, velocity performance like that is not going to perform well at distance. But that's kind of our baseline, 2.5 MOA. And I chalk it up due to velocity inconsistency. Next up, let's work with the Berger 175 brass case load. So that Berger load went into the lower left dot here, and you can see those 5 rounds went into a group that measure 0.66 MOA, so really tight. Velocity performance is quite good here. Average speed of 26.27 out of the brass case load, extreme spread of 20.6, and an SD of 7.7. So a tight shooting load with tight, consistent velocities, I expect solid performance at distance. Let's take a look at it. Wind flag looks to be doing the same. To me, it feels a little bit calmer, so I actually dialed back to 0.6 right, and I came down to 10.2 mils, which is what AB Quantum calls for with this load. Here we go with 3. Okay, so that went a bit high. Wind looked good. Okay, I'm going to come down 2/10. Oh yeah, velocity's running faster there. All right, we're in the ballpark. Let's load up 3 more. And here we go. So I'm at 10 mils up, right 0.6. I will fire as quick as I can before conditions change. All right, so spread on that. In the ballpark of 40. Those all landed in the cardboard, it looked like. Let's take a look. Well, there you are, 10 rounds of the Berger 175 at 1,018. Those 10 rounds measure 1.19 MOA, so really, really good performance, nice and round. Really happy with how that shot. And you can look at the velocity and see, okay, I kind of understand why. Average speed of 26.31. Extreme spread of 41.1 across the 10 rounds and an SD of 9.5. So I like the single digit SD. That extreme spread is a little bit large, but ultimately it shot well downrange. So that's our 2 brass case loads. Next up will be our first Black Arc load on the upper left-hand dot. This is going to be the 175 Berger hybrid load. And you can see these 5 rounds go into a group that measure 0.56 MOA, so roughly half MOA out of the Black Arc. Really, really solid shooting, happy with that. Now let's look at the velocity. ripping at 27.03. So 2,700 feet per second across 5 rounds with an extreme spread of 23.2. Really good. And an SD of 8.5. So now, I tell you what, I'm really happy with this. Let's take a look at how she shoots out at distance. So this is running about 2,700 feet per second, and AB Quantum is calling for 9.5 mils of elevation. Just dialed that onto the Theos. Windage, I'm going to go right 0.5. Feels about the same as the Bergers we just fired. So let's put our 3 siders on the plate. Make sure I'm nice and level. Okay, here we go on the plate. First round impact. Okay, cool. Okay, just off the right. We'll go ahead and just load up 2 more. I only need 2 siders. 10 rounds on the black dot. I'm going to fire them as quickly as I accurately can before conditions change. All right, those are all on the cardboard. Spread 82 to 09. So you're just shy of, what is that, 30 feet per second? That ought to be a good group. Let's take a look. Pretty solid results there at 1,018 out of that Black Arc. That group is going to measure 1.33 MOA, so a little bit larger than the brass case load, but I tell you what, very respectable. I did notice, though, there's 2 kind of 5-round clumps, one a little bit lower and one a little bit higher. I want to dig deeper into that and see if I can look at velocities and figure out what maybe caused that. Overall, across the 10 rounds, though, average speed of 26.97, so ripping just like the 100 yards. Extreme spread of 27, SD of 8. And I tell you what, velocity-wise, this is the best performance that we got out of any load throughout the testing today. So very happy with that out of the NAS3 case. Now let's transition over and look at the 175 LRX Black Arc load. At 100 yards, I laid down a 5-round group here, sub-MOA with a hunting bullet, 0.74 MOA. So really nice accuracy. You'll notice the point of impact, though, is lower than all of the other loads. So keep that in mind when we transition out to 1,000. Velocity performance at 100 yards is really good out of the LRX. 27.05 feet per second, so right in line with the other Black Arc load. Extreme spread of 18.6 and an SD of 6.8. So I tell you what, I'm really optimistic with how this is going to perform downrange. Let's take a look. So we'll put our first rounds down there as siders. Now this is also running about 2,700 feet per second, but slightly lower BC calls for 9.8 mils of elevation, which I'll dial onto my Optic there. And we'll leave the same right 0.5. Conditions feel very similar. Get leveled up. Here we go with a sider on the 10-inch circle. Okay. Come right a tenth. That's 0.6. Let's come up a tenth. Okay, drop just under it. One more. Okay, there's the impact. So you saw I held just top edge of plate. If you remember, at 100 yards, the zero on this was slightly lower, so that does make sense. Okey-doke, here we go. 10 rounds on the cardboard, up 9.9, right 0.6. All right, so our spread actually is pretty large on that, so it's going to be about 50 feet per second. Let's go see what it looks like on cardboard. Well, there it is. A look at the LRX at 1018. So a little bit larger of a group than I was expecting at 1.69 MOA. So I'm not sure if I can chalk that up to the velocity. Maybe so. So as we dig into the velocity across the 10 rounds, average speed of 26.92. So it slowed down a little bit versus 100 yards. But 10 rounds ran a spread of 51.4 with an SD of 13.3. So that's a little bit larger than I was expecting. I tell you what, when you see velocities that large, you would expect the group downrange to open up, even if everything else is perfect. So we landed on the 1.69 MOA. Now the last piece I want to hit on here would be drop. So the M118LR required 10.9 mils of elevation. The Berger load was 10 mils flat, so about almost 1 mil flatter between these two, which is really a bullet change and a little bit of increased velocity. You go up to Black Arc, which is the same bullet, and the Black Arc required 9.5 mils, so the velocity alone got me a half mil flatter shooting. Come back over to the LRX, and it was 9.8 mils to get out there. So 9.8 mils with a hunting bullet is flatter than either one of the brass case loads shot. With that, let's move into a wrap up, and I'll give you my thoughts. Well, there you have it, a look at the new Black Arc NAS3 ammo and what it can do to supercharge your 308. You gotta let me know in the comments down below, what did you think about the performance of the Black Arc? Did it meet your expectations or exceed them? I'd love to chat with you down below while I chat about it here. Let's just cut to the chase. In my opinion, yes, the new Black Arc loadings supercharged this 308. They gave me almost 100 feet per second out of the exact same cartridge with the same bullet weight. And we saw the advantage of that downrange. So let's start by talking about 100-yard performance. Well, at 100 yards, it's easy to summarize. All four of the loads were MOA or better. They all shot great groups. The 118 LR average speed was about 2,600 feet per second, which is what I expected, but it had a massive extreme spread across 5 rounds. We moved over to the Berger, again MOA or better, a little bit over 2,600 feet per second, which is right where it should be for brass cases. Extreme spread and SD was really tight, and we saw that downrange also. Then I moved up and fired the 175 Berger load from Black Arc. Beautiful group there, sub MOA, 2,700 feet per second with beautiful extreme spread and small SDs. This one, I tell you what, it picked up just shy of 100 feet per second over the M118 LR and about 80 feet per second over the Berger. So yes, NAS3 did gain velocity. Next up, we fired the Barnes LRX out of the Black Arc ammo, and that went into a group that was beautiful. 4 of them in one hole, one that popped out. Maybe that was me, but still sub-MOA. Right at 2,700 feet per second, so again, picked up about 80 feet per second over the brass case ammo. Extreme spread was really, really good. So at the 100-yard line, all of the ammo shot very well, but what stuck out to me were the 2 Black Arc loads and the Berger load with the small extreme spreads. Now we move out to 1,018 yards and 10 round groups. This is where the proof is really in the pudding. We started with that M118 LR, and I tell you what, I felt like conditions were solid throughout that course of fire, and we got a pretty large group, 2.5 MOA out there with that M118 LR. Extreme spread of about 50 feet per second. When you have a spread that big, you're just not going to have the results downrange that you want. 10.9 mils of elevation to get out there. So we saw the ammo running slower than the NAS3, and it's running the 175 SMK, which has a slightly lower BC than the Berger bullet. That's 10.8, 10.9 mils. I had to adjust right something like 0.8 mils for the win. So let's keep that in mind as we chat through the other ammo. Next up, I fired the Berger 175. And I tell you what, results on cardboard were really, really good. 1.1 to 1.2 MOA at 1,018 yards. Very small extreme spread, and that's what allowed me to shoot that small group. Again, conditions felt very similar and consistent throughout that course of fire. I tried to fire fast. I'm happy with that accuracy. That looked really, really good. So, where was my drop? Well, that 175 Berger bullet required 10 mils of elevation to get out there. So about the same speed as the 118 LR, but the higher BC led to flatter shooting by about almost a mil. Windage wise, we were right. I want to say something like 0.6 mils, so a little bit less wind as well. All right, we're going good. Now let's talk about the Black Arc 175 Berger load. So this ammo right here, we saw a group that was right at, say, 1.3 MOA. But the interesting thing, if you look at those groups, or at the rounds that I fired downrange, there were 5 kind of in a lower cluster and then 5 in an upper cluster. I haven't had a chance to go back and watch the chronograph footage, but I'm going to be curious to see. Even though I had a small extreme spread of 27, which is the smallest across everything that we fired, was there almost 2 groups of speeds, maybe a slightly lower speed and a slightly higher speed within the 27 that led to the 2 groups. So ultimately 1.3 MOA overall with very little windage spread, I'm happy with. That's a good group. That small spread performed well. Also, this was the flattest shooting ammo at 9.5 mils of elevation. So that's 1.5 mils flatter than the M118LR. Remember, a mil is 36 inches at 1,000 yards. So that's roughly 54 inches flatter shooting out of this ammo. In my opinion, yes, that is supercharged. So you gotta let me know what you think. I'm very happy with that. Then we swapped over to the Barnes LRX from Black Arc. Those 10 rounds went into a group that measured something like 1.6 to 1.7 MOA. So it opened up a little bit. I felt like conditions were similar, but I tell you what, 9.8 mils of elevation, that is flatter shooting than either of the brass case loads in a hunting bullet. Depending on the animal that you're going after, maybe a 1.6 MOA group at 1,000 is bigger than you would want. But ultimately, I feel like the performance was there, especially if you're taking shots at closer distance. Flatter shooting, more velocity, harder hitting, that's what you want for animals. So do I feel like the Black Arc, especially the 175 Berger load, supercharged my 308? And the answer is yes. When I look at the performance downrange out of this load, more velocity, so 2,700 feet per second, which is about 80 to 100 feet per second faster than brass. That meant it was the flattest shooting load out there. It had the less windage deflection out of anything that we shot. It had a very respectable group at 1.3 MOA. Certainly the Berger had a tighter group, but remember the Berger load is priced about the same as this Black Arc load. So for the same money, with the Black Arc, you're able to pick up velocity, flatter shooting, less windage deflection. Keep in mind, I forgot to mention it earlier in the video, the Black Arc ammunition was sent to me. So they sent this out, said, hey, test this, make a video on it. I didn't tell them that I was gonna do this side-by-side test, so just keep that in mind. But I do feel like the performance that you saw here on video spoke for itself. If you remember, I started the video by saying this ammo is gonna allow you to supercharge your 308 and give you similar performance to a 6.5 Creedmoor. Well, I wanna round that out here. Yesterday, I fired through the exact same test, 1,018 yards, a handful of different 6.5 Creedmoor loads. The video is actually already out right now if you want to take a look at it. And one of those loads, running my 144 SMK hand load out of a 20-inch gas gun, required 9.3 to 9.4 mils of elevation to 1,018. This load was 9.5. So this 308 load, yes, it is a different bullet, different rifle, was very much almost right on top of what that 6.5 Creedmoor was at 1,018. So I do believe there's data to support that. If you want to see me run them side by side, let me know. With that, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Help me grow this channel. It's super simple. Like this video, comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts around how this ammo performed. Subscribe to make sure you're in line for my next video drop. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in my next video.